Prince Andrew attending that dinner party at Jeffrey Epstein's New York townhouse. We all know about it now. But I read recently a bit about it from Tina Brown in her book, The Palace Papers. And she refers to the fact that a New York publicist, Peggy Siegel, actually rang her up and invited her to that dinner party. And she was very, very grateful that she actually didn't attend. But she'd already done 5 pieces on Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of underage girls. And so she was not about to attend. And her answer to Peggy Siegel was this: "What is this, Peggy?" I screeched. "The bleep Predator's ball?" And then Peggy Siegel then said, "Oh, it's all been overblown and I'm just helping a friend out," and you know. But luckily, Tina Brown didn't attend that infamous dinner party. That's a pretty close call. But like I said, it led me to watch or re-watch the Emily Maitlis interview. Now, most of that interview concentrates on, Virginia Roberts Giuffre's accusations. Now, that has been settled, as we know. Prince Andrew has settled that case. So I'm not going to concentrate on that in this video. But it was outside of that I actually noticed some little bits that really interested me. Let's see if they interest you. Now, Emily Maitlis confirms that Prince Andrew actually did attend Jeffrey Epstein's New York townhouse over that period of time. And she had already established that he hadn't spoken to Jeffrey Epstein or seen him from 2006 to 2010. Because when he was arrested, and that was the point where, even though Prince Andrew had already invited him to his daughter's birthday party a month after the arrest warrant was issued, from that point when he found out about the accusations and the current, acceptance of the plea bargain and Jeffrey Epstein going to prison, between 2006 and 2010, he didn't actually see him. So that made it all the more strange when he said that he had to go and see him to explain to him why he couldn't see him anymore. Now, I haven't noticed that anybody else has brought that up, but if he had already not seen the man for 4 years, why would it be necessary to go and see him to break up the friendship? If a friend of mine didn't contact me or speak to me for 4 years, I'd sort of pick up that it was over. I would sort of gather that the friendship was down the tubes at that stage. But Prince Andrew insists that he honourably wanted to go and see his friend because, to quote, ring him up and say it would be the coward's way out. So then Emily Maitlis asks him, well, why did you stay at Jeffrey Epstein's place? I mean, at a convicted sex offender's home. Why did you stay there? And Prince Andrew answers, well, it was convenient. Well, we wouldn't want to inconvenience you, Prince Andrew, would we? I mean, I think all of us would stay at a convicted sex offender's home if it was convenient. So anyway, he gets there and the objective supposedly is to break up the friendship. But in order to break up the friendship, he needed 4 days, as we all know now, and a dinner party in his honour. Now, a lot of people have stated that that dinner party and the whole house party was to actually celebrate Jeffrey Epstein being released from prison. I believe he was released in July and this was in December. So, yeah, quite a few months have passed, I guess. But Prince Andrew was the guest of honour, so you would think that that would help Jeffrey Epstein sort of reconnect with a lot of contacts and sort of smooth over where he'd been. So Prince Andrew arrives in New York. Now, Emily Maitlis was brilliant in this interview. She had the best poker face I've ever seen of any interviewer, and so she didn't have any tell that sort of made Prince Andrew be cautious and shut up. She was just brilliant. brilliantly executed. He just kept bumbling on and digging himself deeper and deeper and deeper into the mire. Now, she brings up quite explosive allegations that it was seen at the time that when he was staying at that townhouse, that many young girls were observed coming and going from the townhouse while he was there. And she also brings up that a literary agent that had attended that house party or was there for the day had witnessed Prince Andrew getting a foot massage from a very young Russian girl. Now, Prince Andrew did deny this emphatically, said that he didn't know what all that was about, certainly wasn't him. Then Emily Maitlis said, well, did you notice anything untoward about anything? And Prince Andrew said, now this is the bit that I picked up. Prince Andrew said that Jeffrey Epstein's place was so busy that it was just like a railway station. Now, the reason why that railway station comment was so interesting to me was that my mind immediately switched to, oh, well, I wonder whether he had his security with him. And then sure enough, when she drew his attention to the walk in Central Park where he was photographed talking to Jeffrey Epstein, and we'll get more into that in a moment, he mentioned to her that they hadn't noticed any photographers and his security was in the background of that shot, and they would have noticed if there was any photographers around. And I thought, bingo, his security was there. So therefore, if his security was there and Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse was like a railway station with the amount of people coming and going, to the extent that Prince Andrew was unaware of anything untoward going on or any young girls coming and going, which have been photographed, by the way, then why did his security allow him to stay there? What security detail would keep their principal that they're protecting in a place that was like a railway station with a number of people coming and going? Their first responsibility would be to say, I'm sorry, Prince Andrew, we cannot protect you here. There are too many unverified people coming and going, too many for us to check as they enter and depart. We cannot keep you safe. You're at risk. We need to take you and book you into a hotel. So you would assume that the security detail was either not doing their job properly or they were quite used to Prince Andrew staying at Jeffrey Epstein's. The other thing we can assume is that maybe actually it wasn't quite as busy as Prince Andrew remembers, because maybe it was only busy enough that his security detail could easily check each person that was entering the building. So, yeah, maybe not quite as busy as a railway station, Andrew. The other thing I found interesting about that walk in the park was she asked him, well, what did you say and what was Epstein's reaction when you basically broke up the friendship? And he sort of waffled a bit and didn't really answer specifically, but he just said, well, due to the attendant extra scrutiny on himself, that he thought it was inappropriate for them to be seen together. And I thought, well, if I was walking in the park with a convicted sex offender that had been convicted of prostituting an underage child, I probably wouldn't have phrased it that way. I probably would have said, I never want to see you again because you absolutely disgust me. And when I get back to my hotel, because I wouldn't have stayed there, when I get back to my hotel, I'm going to need a shower to wash the stench of yuck off me that comes with even walking in the park with you. Some emotive language, but I think most of us would feel the same way. We certainly wouldn't couch it in such diplomatic and polite tones. Now, I've had a look at that photograph, and to me, it doesn't look like someone breaking up a friendship at all. It actually looks like someone desperately pleading their case. When asked if he had any regrets about his friendship with Epstein, that was Prince Andrew's chance to say, I regret all of it. The whole thing disgusts me. I'm so embarrassed by my association with this disgusting lowlife man. You know, along those lines would have probably helped his case a little bit. But no, Andrew didn't regret his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein because of what he got out of it, you see. He made all these great contacts and he learned so much about business, you know, because he was going into his position, you know, as head of international trade and, oh dear. He really has no idea. So I think it would be really interesting that if anybody wanted to really get to the bottom of this with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein, I guess all they could do would be to maybe interview his security detail that were there with him on those 4 days. Those 4 days to say goodbye to his friend and the dinner party in his honour. And it was an interesting guest list, wasn't it? Now, Tina Brown actually outlines the guest list in a little more detail with some commentary, and I'll just read you a short quote because it's so interesting. Peggy Segal asked me to a really fabulous dinner for Prince Andrew at the home of Jeffrey Epstein. The other guests she enthused would be Woody Allen, and then Tina Brown puts in brackets, whose estranged adult daughter has accused him of sexually molesting her when she was 7 years old. I'm not laughing about that. I'm scoffing at the audacity of this group of people to gather at Jeffrey Epstein's place for a dinner party. It's beyond belief, really, isn't it? The talk show host Charlie Rose later cancelled because of allegations of sexual harassment. And the TV journalists Katie Couric and George Stephanopoulos, now they would have been there purely, I would guess, to, you know, delve as journalists. I'm not suggesting anything nefarious from their attendance. And it's funny, Peggy Segal saying, it's all been overblown, Peggy said. Jeffrey really is okay. He's been very generous to me. I'm just helping him with his party. I wonder how her PR firm's going after what unfolded after that dinner party. So it's interesting, isn't it? If you go back and watch the interview and ignore the main part, which was the photograph and Virginia Roberts and those allegations, if you just ignore that section and just look around the fringes of that, you're still left astounded at what you see and hear. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Be aware that we have to keep it very friendly, as in discreet, diplomatic comments, because the filters will pick up anything that isn't like that. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.